Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live question and answer session. So if you're not familiar with these things, every week in my Facebook group, the Academic Society for Grad Students, on Mondays, I post a prompt in the group asking if anyone has any questions about grad school that they want me to answer in my next video. So this week we had 2 questions that I'll be answering today. And if you're joining me live, feel free to put any questions in the chat for me to answer as well. Okay, so our first question today comes from Sean. Sean is asking, why does grad school focus a lot on group projects? It feels like the group projects cause me more stress. All right, Sean, so I will say it is definitely program dependent whether or not you have group projects. So me in math, preparing to get a PhD in math, I had 0 group projects in my graduate program. I did take one course in a different department, and I had a group project in that course. And so based on that knowledge and based on something someone else said, which I'll share in a moment, I believe that it depends on what program you're in. And from my understanding, from what I've noticed from other graduate students, I think if you're in a program where after you have completed your degree, you're going into the field, going into an industry where you're working with other people, it is likely that you'll get some practice working with others in your grad program. So fields like, so I'll share here in the group. Lisa commented and said, I asked my professor the same thing. He said, because group projects are often required as part of the accreditation process. So I asked a follow-up question because I wanted to know, like, what programs are you all in where you're having these group projects? So Lisa is in healthcare administration and Sean is in an MBA program. And I would imagine both of those fields, when you are working in those fields, you are working with other people. And so your grad program will likely have an emphasis on group programs. For me, in math, most mathematicians work alone, but also I was in a PhD program preparing to go into academia. I could potentially do research all on my own. And there's not a big emphasis on group projects. So I did not have any group projects in my graduate program, except when I took a course in the business school. So I took a course on data analytics in the business school. And in that program, there were master's students, so people getting their MBA, and we had group projects. Well, we had one group project. So hopefully that answers the question. If you're working in a field where there is going to be groups and people that you're interacting with constantly, you will likely have group projects in your grad program. Okay, hopefully that answered your question. So Neha asked me, how can one be adept at time, energy, as well as project management? Before I go to that question, thank you. Someone has shared in the comments, never been a fan of group projects. However, in the proposal stages, I do have to work with my committee. That is true. It makes a huge difference when we are on the same accord and respectful of deadlines. Yeah, it can be very challenging working with others. Especially when people are busy and have trouble adhering to deadlines. For me, one thing that I did when I was working with my committee, I tried to give them deadlines far ahead of what the actual deadlines were for me because I knew that they would likely miss them. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so this next question is, how can one be adept at time, energy, as well as project management? Which should be prioritized and through what method? What are the most common mistakes that students make with this? Okay, this is a good question. And by the way, if you're watching this live, feel free to ask your questions in the chat or the comments as well. Okay, so how do you become adept at time, energy, and project management, and which should be prioritized? Well, I think they are not necessarily separate things. Like, I don't think that time, energy, or project management should be prioritized over the other. I think it all comes back to your goals. So at the beginning of the semester, I highly recommend choosing only 2 goals to focus on for the full semester. And those two goals are where you're going to put most of your time, your energy. And that is part of project management. So in my program Focus, we do these monthly planning sessions every single month where we walk through my project management framework. And it all starts from your goals and then breaking down your high level goals into smaller and smaller tasks and actionable steps, and making sure that you're spending if you're ever feeling like conflicted, like, I don't know if I should be working on this thing or if I should be working on this other thing, you want to have your goals in place so that you can say, oh, actually, one of these things aligns with my goals and the other doesn't. So that kind of gives you like a workflow, and it helps you decide what to work on first or what to give priority to and what to give your energy to and what to give your time to. So I don't think you can separate those three things. I think they all work together to help you achieve whatever goal you have set for yourself. So my recommendation would be decide what is that very specific goal that you are reaching for, and then categorize all of the things you are doing as this will lead me to my goal and this is something extra. And I think that will kind of help you. Okay, any suggestions for preparing for an oral defense? Oh my goodness. I was so nervous when I had to defend my dissertation. I remember like the day of the presentation, I found like a mistake in one of my slides and I was like, oh no, what if all of my research is wrong? And then my sister called me and she was just like, I just wanted to say, like, you got this. I'm so proud of you. I believe in you. And I just like burst into tears. I was a mess on my oral defense day, but one thing that really helped me was my fellow grad students. So me and my grad school besties, Caitlin and Vinny, we were all defending our dissertations around the same time. So we would actually present to each other and ask each other questions so that we had to defend our research. So I practiced my dissertation defense in front of other people at least twice. And I wanted to practice answering questions. And I also wanted to practice answering questions that I didn't know the answer to, because it's okay to not know the answer to a question that you get asked in your dissertation defense. I know that sounds super scary, but if it's outside of the scope of your research, why would you need to know? Right. So if I did get a question that was outside of the scope of my research, I would say, oh my goodness, that's such a great question. You know, this part could be related to that, but I decided to go in this direction instead. But in the future, that is something I will definitely look into along with this, and this. It's a great way to answer a question when you don't know the actual answer to. So my recommendations are practice by yourself, practice with other people and get people to ask you questions, and also come up with questions. Like if you were in the audience of your defense, what questions would you ask you? See if you can come up with questions and try to answer those. Hopefully that was helpful. Does anyone have any final questions before I end the video? Let me know. I will say linked below are, if you are an incoming graduate student, I have a free webinar on navigating your first semester of grad school. And I have identified 3 big mistakes that grad students make in the first semester that makes it really challenging and really overwhelming. So I'll be sharing those 3 mistakes and like how to not fall into those traps in your first semester. So the link for that is in the description of this video. You can go to theacademicsociety.com/free. And if you are already a graduate student and you need help with like the project management, the time management, just organizing everything, I would recommend my Notion template bundle. So if you use Notion, or even if you are new to Notion, I have like a little tutorial in there, but I have a bunch of different templates that you can just customize and like add in your own information. And with that, you also get my book, #GradBoss, a grad school survival guide. And you also get my time management essentials class. So and that's at theacademicsociety.com/Notion. So all of that is in the description of this video. Oh, you are so welcome. Let me know how it goes. And congratulations on making it so far and being almost done with your program. That's awesome. Oh, and I keep forgetting, I can put the questions on the screen. What are your future aspirations within your field at your institution or beyond. Something interesting happened to me. I achieved all of my goals. So I'm in the process of setting new goals. So I became a lecturer at my university. I was promoted a year early. So I'm a senior lecturer now. I've won a couple teaching awards, and those were my goals. I wanted to be promoted and I wanted to win teaching awards. And so I'm now what next? I could be promoted again. So I'm working towards that. But I don't like to think about working towards promotion as trying to stack my CV to look impressive. I try to find extra things that I would enjoy doing. What am I most passionate about? I'm most passionate about teaching and making mathematics understandable and enjoyable for undergraduate students. So anything I can do and be involved with that's going to help my teaching or help the teaching of the department, that's what I'm going to be working on. So currently I'm working on an instructor's manual for the flipped course materials that I've created for pre-calculus at my school. I got a grant, an active learning change grant. So we've created new materials for pre-calculus, calculus 1, and calculus 2. And so we also want to make materials for calculus 3 so that students who do enjoy the flipped class framework, they can kind of take pre-calculus through calculus 3 with that same framework and have a good experience. So yeah, that's what I'm working on, just making math, taking math classes in college, making those better. But thank you so much for your question. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. If you do have more questions, please join my Facebook group. I put a post out every single Monday morning asking for your questions that I'll answer in my next video. All right, enjoy.